and welcome to Alive and Well Radio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am Karena Thek. I am joined by my co-host, Crystal Lacey Edwards, and we have a pediatrician joining us in just a little bit. But first, hey, Crystal.
Hey, Karena.
So thanks for coming out and kayaking with me last week.
That was awesome.
Wasn't it
oh
great?
my gosh, the weather was beautiful. The view was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go again.
Yeah, I really think that if you're in Santa Clarita, you gotta make the trip.
It's too close not to go, and it's something that I don't know. I mean, the hardest part was probably getting in and out of the kayak, and they were there to help and all that. It's just so easy.
But you did a great job. After you fell in, you were awesome.
Yeah, had to get used to the water first.
Yeah.
But it, I think I always
So
thought it was
easy.
really, really hard, and it's really, really easy. That
It's
was my
so
first
easy.
time.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been different if we had tried to kayak on the ocean that day because the water
Well,
was
it was
just kicking it.
Yeah, there were some
But,
big waves. I don't know that I would have
no.
wanted to go where waves are bigger than me in the kayak. Mm-hmm. But it was fun.
We just went out to the breakwall and saw the starfish, and it was great.
Big
just all through the
starfish.
harbor. No seals. I saw seals in the harbor yesterday.
Did you?
I waved at them for you.
And said, we tried to see it. We tried to talk to you all the other day.
We tried to have you come make an appearance.
Yeah, but it was great. It was great. So thank you for letting me come
you're
out.
welcome.
I'm ready to come again.
So, Crystal, I'm always so glad when you're joining me on the show
It's
as
good to
my
be here.
co-host. But today I'm especially glad because, I went and I ordered coffee. And I remembered to tell them semi-sweet, and I remembered to tell them soy and not dairy, and I remembered to tell them not to put the cream on top. I forgot to tell them to make it decaf.
Oops.
So, I'm all yours today.
Nice. So when it gets really distant for Karena's voice, that means she's on the ceiling.
Right.
Not
right.
too close to the mic.
And my lips are numb. Does that happen to you when you drink caffeine? My face is going numb. It happens when I drink alcohol too. We should ask our pediatrician.
That's
This
not
is doc-
good.
I think it happens to people who are half human, half not. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's the reason. Because I've been in therapy, and one thing I have been assured of is I am primarily Homo sapien.
Oh, well, maybe that's not it. That's good. That's a good thing that you've learned something at least.
Yes, exactly. So I want to introduce our guest, and maybe we'll ask him why my lips are numb. This is Dr. Carey. He is a pediatrician in Ventura, California, and author of Dr. Carey's Baby Care and developer of the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for making the drive in.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here.
It's a good, gorgeous drive, right?
It's not so bad. It's a nice little windy road on the way up.
Yeah.
Sunny sky out here.
Which is nice. Was it still foggy when you left?
It has a little bit of fog over there. But,
Yeah. It cleared out yesterday, but today was, it's been gloomy in the morning.
Yep, that's just in the morning.
So why are my lips numb when I drink caffeine?
you know something? I don't generally suggest caffeine for my pediatric patients, so I don't have a great answer for you.
She's crazy. Just tell her she's crazy. Just be open.
Well, no, actually, that's an interesting question for a pediatrician, because have you been seeing the kids who are drinking all the Red Bulls, and have you had to work with any of that?
Not too much, because my practice is primarily under 10 years old.
Oh,
and
okay.
So
you have a really young
I
practice,
have a very
basically.
young practice. I have some teenagers and older ones, but pediatrics, although I will see patients up to the age of 18, generally speaking, it's for the first 10 years of life, and mostly through the first 6 years, where I'm seeing them quite frequently and quite a bit. And then,
For the first 6 years?
Yes, and then by the time they hit teenage years, you're trying to get them into the office, but they're probably passed out from having too many Red Bulls.
Probably. Well, we talked to somebody just last week, and they were
Yeah.
talking about the increase of kidney stones in children, and possibly due to some of the sports drinks that they're drinking and
Yeah,
increasing.
pediatric urologist.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, but it's good to know that at least you're not having to counsel the 5-year-olds enough with the caffeine.
This is
Right.
true.
Right. That's
Because
true.
a little bit off topic, because or where your specialty might lie, but as a pediatrician, I mean, my concern with our children is that, are you in your practice seeing more children are you treating more children for what would normally be considered adult disease,
In terms
like diabetes, heart disease, cholesterol, high blood pressure?
Exactly. In terms of diabetes, early onset diabetes from obesity, there does seem to be an increase in that, even within my practice, in the small numbers that I see.
Oh, really? How about
Wow.
heart?
They're
disease.
too early to develop these processes
Okay.
yet. We're
But
really
the-
catching them early, and trying to make a change is very difficult.
And are you
bet
so
that's
you're
true.
having to counsel the parents?
Yes, and really I find the only approach that is effective among my patient population is to really turn more towards the parents and explain that this is a family lifestyle change, and it's not really something where I spend my time focusing on the child. When I focus on the child, I get nowhere. When I focus on the family needs to make a change across the board, I
have some progress.
I have more success. And one of the things I try to get the parents to do is to do a real 7-day diet history for the entire family. To really take a look, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what they're eating, quantities. And I simplify things because I feel the food pyramids are way too complicated, and all of the information is mind-numbing. And I try to get them to simply look at, do you have a good choice on your plate or a bad choice? And just try to get them to limit bad choices and increase good choices. Very simple.
That does make it simple.
Great way to start.
That's good. I like the 7-day diary. I know anytime you go to a dietitian or a registered dietitian or a lot of doctors, they'll ask you to keep a chart before you go in. Do you have a good turnout? Do they do that? Are they receptive?
That's a good question. It's hit or miss. Some are very receptive, and some, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to change their lifestyle unless I went to their house and cooked every day, which I'm not.
Which that would just be a drag. It's a drag to cook for one house, much less 25 or 30.
Exactly.
I get that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Carrie cooks pretty well for a party.
Well, there you go.
Right? Don't you?
Yes, I do. I love to cook.
I hear rumors that there are some big Greek happenings.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
The Greek side of my family loves to cook.
Greeks, big families, love it. Chaos, love it.
Chaos.
That's my family.
You do love chaos.
I do. Well, in the family, my family's big, and I like a lot of people around. I like big parties. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't want to go to a party that's got 300 people. When I want to go to a house party where there's 30.
30 loud, rambunctious, chaotic people.
Every time I have dinner at my parents' house, that's what it is.
Okay, so a pediatrician. Let's start off with the very beginning here. How does one choose to even become a pediatrician? Why the focus on children?
Well, initially I was thinking surgery when I was in high school. I thought, oh, surgeon. So my first experience was with a friend of ours who is an orthopedic surgeon. I asked to see a surgery. I went gowned up.
How old were you?
So cool.
I was about 9th grade.
So 14, 15?
15, and patient's lying there, they wrap up the leg, he makes the first incision, I see the glistening bluish white bone, I hit the ground.
I had a feeling you were going to say
and
that.
Orthopedics, boy, that's hard. I thought you were going to tell me it was just too hard to work, because orthopedic surgery is supposed to be really hard, with the maneuvering of the bodies. Yeah, it's really physical.
It's extremely physical. But I did stay up for the second surgery, and it was fascinating to watch.
That's awesome.
And then in medical school, I kept thinking, well, I'd really like to do something from the waist up.
Chicken. Just chicken.
Just seems safer.
Better and better.
So then I finally did a pediatric rotation, and it was fun.
You had a good time.
Oh,
it was fun. There was the key.
Good.
It was more than fun. The children are fun. The parents are easy to. What's nice about pediatrics is you're giving the information eventually to a healthy individual. So you're not counseling the sick person.
That makes sense.
You're helping the sick person, but you're counseling the caregiver, who you hope is a healthy individual. And everything. So communication is easier that way, and yet you get to have fun with the child, and I try my best to get the child to interact. In fact, one of my most fun things I do in my office is if a parent comes in with 2 children and say you have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and the 1-year-old's here to be seen, I'll ask the 4-year-old all the questions and try to get
that's
information from the child, and you'd be surprised. They answer most of them just fine.
That's awesome. A great way to engage them, and
that's peace to you too.
You caught up pretty good there.
We're having fun. Y'all can't see. Sorry, you have to wait till Saturday on local access TV. But we're having fun in here.
That was pretty good. Okay, so you mentioned a 1 and a 4-year-old. You had said something about having a newborn and a 2-year-old, which is actually very common age difference. My brother and I are 13 months apart, but 2 years is pretty common age difference.
It is a common age difference. It's also the age difference where if a mom's going to come into my office in tears, that's going to be
That makes sense to me.
And it's primarily because a child at 2 is so me.
Right. So as an infant. So as an infant, even though they're not saying me, they
have
need
no
your
choice.
Yeah.
Right, but
That
they're
makes
not
sense.
running up and clinging on your leg in quite the same way. I had a mom come in with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old for the very first time. She came in, I saw the 1-year-old, and when I was finished, I asked, do you have any other questions? And she said, you know, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I don't really like my 3-year-old too much.
I can't imagine.
And it took a while for her to understand that it was over the course of the year that she was having more trouble with her then 2-year-old acting up, taking it out on her.
Right.
And had she known what was coming, it wouldn't have changed the 2-year-old's behavior, but mom would have been more prepared to deal with the situation.
And is it that kind of situation that your book came out of, the Dr. Carey's Baby Care, or is that even more infant-based?
Everything in my book is really from birth to 1 year of age.
Oh, very nice.
And
so it's kind of that follow-up book after you take that. What is that book? What
to expect when you're expecting.
Right. So it's really
this is the first
follow-up
year.
But with
that.
pictures. A
With
lot of
pictures.
pictures.
And
Over
cute
100
pictures. They are adorable. Did you see some of them?
Yeah.
They're adorable.
And it's very
Not all of them.
step-by-step by a pediatrician who's experienced all this. And, of course, you have a daughter of your own.
Pictures of developments, pictures of rashes, pictures of just about anything that parents ask about during the first year of life that's missing in most books.
What's the biggest panic question you get?
Panic question.
Like, okay, so
My child is growing. What do I do? I need to go to dinner with my
Mine's 21.
friend.
Mine's 21, and I'm like, okay, so what part did I miss out where you keep them small? What was the drug for that?
Putting your elbow in their head doesn't work. I know.
I could have kept him really infantile in his head, but that would have required way too much therapy. I didn't have the money for that. And to get a therapist who would be on my page of trying to keep him at 4 years old.
True. Yeah.
I have a simple rule in my office. They're not allowed to panic.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
That's good.
so I can share some of my panic stories when I get back. And Crystal will share some of hers. Mine's 21, but when you panic and you remember it for life.
That's probably
right?
true.
There's got to be some, I'll bet there are questions that you get over and over again, and you probably are so used to them, you just
Don't even realize that they're questions.
You put them in the book.
Yeah.
All right, we're speaking with Dr. Carey. He is a pediatrician, and he is the author of Dr. Carey's Baby Care and the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. And hang on one second. Let me give you the website so you can go on it while we're on break. The website is drcarey.org, and Carey is CAREY.org. We'll be right back. This is your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
I think it breaks a little to the left.
To the right.
Nope, straight.
I told you it was going right.
Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day.
For fun playtime ideas, go online. Just don't stay long.
Every trip, every time.
California, here I come!
Buckle up so you and your friends get home safely.
I must scream into the world from the top of someplace very high.
Seatbelts save lives.
Okay.
Visit NHTSA.gov.
Low and slow. Best friend, what are you going to do?
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
That is spectacular advice.
Hello and welcome back to Alive and Well Radio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Karena Thek. I've had caffeine. And this is Crystal Lacey Edwards. I'm trying not to jump the gun, but I think I did on that intro, huh?
No,
I was just fine. I was just
the
fine.
spark that started
It was
it all.
the spark that started it all. That's what my mom said. Okay, so we have a pediatrician with us today. We are speaking with Dr. Carey, and he is the author of Dr. Carey's Baby Care and the developer of the Dr. Carey's the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. And if you want to send us some questions, you can send them to my Twitter account, which is at Karena Thek, Karena Thek, Thek, and we can pull some of those up and ask Dr. Carey, or just call us at the station, 661-298-5487, and we'll ask Dr. Carey for you. So you put the baby care kit together out of an inspiration from all the questions you were getting, or was there a lack of information out there?
A combination. One was all the questions I was getting consistently, and one of the things I have fun at my office is at a well-check visit, 2-month well-check visit. If I can go through and discuss everything and ask the parents, do you have any questions? And they say, no, you covered them all, then I feel
then
like
you did good.
I did a good job.
Wow, that's impressive.
And so I tried to put as many of these questions into the book as possible, and I accompanied them with pictures because pediatrics is extremely visual. And a newborn will have one of multiple rashes for first couple of months. And it's even more frustrating for the parents because at the 2-week visit they may not have the rashes, and then they'll all spurt out, and then by the 2-month visit they're gone again. And they're scratching their head, what was that was on my child, and they never really understand.
And is that like a diaper rash, or?
No, there are a lot of other kinds of bumps on the face, newborn acne, cradle cap, other things that babies continually get. They have one called neonatum toxicum, which sounds terrible, but it's completely harmless.
Oh, okay.
And they look like little flea bites, and they go away.
And so are these things that, as I was going to ask you, that need treatment, or are these things that kind of go away on their own?
Most of these are completely harmless that go away on their own.
In the cradle cap also, is that something
The
goes
cradle
away
cap,
on its
a little bit of baby shampoo and scrubbing is usually sufficient to
own?
take care of
I
it.
remember picking at my son's head going, what is
Oh,
growing on your
that's
head?
hysterical. I would think that the parents would be paranoid. Oh my gosh, because my baby's supposed to be perfect. What are these things happening to his beautiful skin or whatever, kind of thing, that they kind of panic. Plus, they're new parents if it's the first child.
With the first child, yes. By the third child, they're...
Whatever.
Yes.
I have a great question.
You're going to live.
for you,
Just go sit down.
I was, Crystal, how old were you when you had Christopher?
Oh, I was old.
No, you weren't. You were in your 30s, right?
I was 1 week from 39.
Okay, and I was 1 week after 22 or so, after I had my son. Do you see a difference in how younger and older parents parent? Because right now, I mean, there's a real shift. People are having children older. Is there a shift in parent? Do you see a difference?
Well, I know there would be in me.
I see a difference between the first child and subsequent children more often. If there is an older parent coming in, they tend to be a little more receptive to what I say and listen. One of the items I like to do is to try to establish a good sleeping pattern at 4 months of age. You get a good sleeping pattern at 4 months of age, and then down the road it's not really an issue anymore. And when I have a younger parent and I go through the reasons why and the thought behind it, they say yes, 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 and the next visit nothing's really changed, unless it's their second child. By the time it's their second child, they're all ears.
They're all ears.
What did I do wrong, and why? I'm not going to blow it again.
My sons didn't sleep through the night till he was like 2.5.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no,
and then we did the whole thing where you just cried out, kid, because mommy's tired.
Oh no! My girlfriend had 3 kids, and she shocked me one day. We were going somewhere, and she said, "Okay, kids, it's going to be an hour. Lay your heads back and go to sleep." And they were all different ages, and they did. So when I got pregnant and started to have him, I called her, and I did I did everything she said, and I used her several times because he gets off schedule, and then he gets back on, he gets off, but. 8 weeks. He was sleeping through the night. 8 weeks.
So that was one. Wow. That's one of the basic things you're coaching parents on, as how to establish that 4-month better sleeping pattern.
I feel that part of parenting that's so difficult is setting limits, and I feel 4 months.
What are you trying to say about me?
No, we're not gonna try. We're just gonna say it. No.
That your son was 2.5 and walking all over you,
and that your son is great in spite of you, just like mine's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we get multiple opportunities throughout development to set limits.
First time might not work.
But 2 months is usually the 4 months, excuse me, is usually the first real time where setting limit becomes important. I usually say up until 4 months, whatever a child wants to do, they call the shots, and then at that point, it's time to start changing
Okay,
things.
and what's happening at 4 months of age that allows that?
One, they can sleep all night long without having to eat.
Okay.
So a child can go from 8 p.m. until the sun comes up without eating. And they haven't developed what we call object permanence, which is if you take an object, say their rattle or something, and you hide it underneath a blanket, it disappears in their mind. But by 6, 7 months, they know it's there and they start to reach for it. So if you put them in the room at 4 months of age, when they wake up in the middle of the night, because they're going to wake up in the middle of the night, they're going to look around, wonder, coo and do whatever, and then they'll put themselves back to sleep.
Oh.
But by 6 months, they're saying, Mom and Dad are in the other room, and they're suckers, and if I scream loud enough, they're going to come and get me.
They're going to come get me.
You better believe it. So if you set the stage of a sleep pattern before that sets in, you have a much better chance of keeping it going.
Interesting.
It doesn't mean they're not going to scream out at 6 months and try to get you, but
You're going to stay in bed.
You can stop it much faster.
Okay, I have to confess. I always thought that my son slept through the night at 8 weeks because at 8 weeks he started sleeping 5 hours. Well, for me that was good enough. But yeah, he probably didn't sleep until closer to 4 months that he slept, you know, an early evening until morning. But he gave me 5 hours, and I was good. I was like, okay, that's through the night. I'm good. But that makes sense. 4 months, that I get that now.
The point is, they're still probably waking up in the middle of the night, but you're
Not
sleeping
calling me.
through
Right,
it.
right. Yeah, that could be too.
And did your daughter do that? Did she sleep through the night at 4 months? Were you able to accomplish that?
Yes, she was good at that.
People who practice what they preach.
Gotta love it.
Dang it.
Someday I'm going to start that.
We're going to work on that. When we get back, we have to take a quick break, take care of business. But when we get back, Dr. Carey, I'd like to speak with you. You have some really practical points in your book about the whole baby care thing. You know, things that I had always said, I wish that my son had come with instructions. And I was terrified. I was 22, had a kid, terrified.
Yeah.
And in fact, even more terrified because when I went home from the hospital with him, I didn't have health insurance, so they sent me home really fast. Like, get her home.
Wow, and that's
her
got to be
kids
scary.
Out of here. It was scary because he had, you'll know the term for this, I can't remember. It's the shunt that skips the lungs, hadn't closed up. What's that foramen called?
The foramen of Al.
Yeah, that hadn't closed up or whatever it's supposed to do. And so they send me home and they said, bring him back tomorrow for his, it was an ultrasound of the heart. We'll send it to John Hopkins because I was on the East Coast. We'll see how he's doing. And they said, and over the next 2 weeks, if his lips turn blue, bring him back. I'm like, okay, I live in the boonies, the boonies. I mean, I was literally 7 miles from the nearest grocery store.
And you're like, wait, lips what?
My kid's lips turn blue. All right.
They
An
should have-
hour trip to the hospital.
They should have given you an honorary degree, too.
Oh, yeah.
No
Oh,
kidding.
that would be
Oh,
scary.
boy. It was terrifying. Anyway, you have some really practical points that you cover, and I think that we should cover some of them on the air, just to give some people some peace of mind out there. We are speaking with Dr. Carey. You can find him on Facebook. Tell us where to find you on Facebook.
Just Google Dr. Carey Baby Care on Facebook.
And then you can ask Dr. Carey some questions.
Carey.
EY.
And yes, and go on, and we have wonderful Monday question of the week where there's a lot of fun participation and keep pictures on Friday, and people are encouraged
nice.
to submit pictures of their own children on
very
Friday
interactive.
also.
So
Yes,
you're on there. You're actually responding.
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I love that. Okay, so find Dr. Carey on Facebook, and you can also look up drcarey.org. That is his website. It is Dr. Carey's Baby Care. That is the book. And he's also the developer. I'm so sorry about the caffeine. I'm like stuttering. The developer of the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. We will be right back on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
When someone abducts a child, they're not about to advertise it. But we will. Sign up at wirelessamberAlerts.org to get free Amber Alert text messages on your cell phone. Help put a child abductor out of business for good. Wireless Amber Alerts. A child is calling for help.
AK Printing is Santa Clarita's choice for quality printing at an affordable price. AK Printing and Design's professional graphic artists create, print, and deliver your catalogs, brochures, flyers, invitations, posters, banners, and much more. Everything you need to make your business or event a success. AK Printing is your one-stop design and print shop. Call today for a free quote. AK Printing and Design. It's not about our vision, it's about yours.
They come back to parades, high school bands, and celebrations. We welcome them with open arms as heroes. Their tours of duty are behind them. Their challenges are not. Many will spend longer coming back from the war than they spent in the war, retraining, searching for jobs, recovering from scars, some visible, some not. Find out what you can do to help at welcomebackveterans.org.
Hello and welcome back to Alive and Well on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am Karena Thek. I am joined by my co-host, Crystal Lacey Edwards, and we have a guest in the studio with us today. This is Dr. Carey. He is a pediatrician in Ventura, California, and author of Dr. Carey's Baby Care and developer of the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. We were trying to remember what we left off with, but I think it was the practical points.
Yeah.
And I think one of the practical points is, like you were saying, Dr. Carey, the states of a baby, like the crying baby.
That's
right?
a state.
That's a state.
That's a state that scares every parent out there.
I had a crying baby that very frustrating.
Absolutely. And there really are sort of four states of a baby, but it's the crying one that is the one
Gets
that
our attention.
That gets our attention very quickly. And it's important to go through the basics and make sure that a baby isn't hungry. It's been, more than a few hours since they were fed, that the diaper is clean, that we don't see anything on the baby that's of concern, no funny rashes, no hair wrapped around the finger or something that can be causing pain or discomforts. But if a baby is pooping well and making plenty of wet diapers and seems to be healthy otherwise, and they're crying for a little while, then it's reasonable to stop and take a look at, to back up and remind ourselves that babies have four states. They tend to be sleeping, alert, calm, or crying. And whatever prompts them to go from one state to another could have come and gone a long time ago, and they stay in that state because they're in that state.
Oh, like
So
inertia.
Yes, so I'll often tell a parent that a crying baby is a sign of a crying baby.
Oh.
Okay.
And part of what we as parents need to learn to do is how to get them from that crying state back to that calm state. And that's where, especially for the first 3 to 4 months, I love having babies swaddled. Swaddled really tight, bundled really tight. And
you have directions for that in the book.
Yes, I do. Show them how to quickly and easily take a blanket and wrap them up like a little burrito, and they're nice and comfy.
And my son loved that.
Yeah, Dale did too.
They didn't exactly have much room prior to coming out. So.
Right. It makes it's more comforting because they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
So it takes them back to that same feeling of
Little
being
security.
tight.
A little bit of security.
Especially those test tube babies, right? They even have less room.
And oddly,
I'm
it's
just saying.
I'm guessing maybe you're right.
they had a nice view.
A womb with a view. A view.
A womb with a view. That's pretty good, Crystal. That was quick.
Okay, back to seriousness. Ignore Karena and I. Just go ahead, Dr. Carey. We're all listening.
So for some reason, it's the 6-week mark, and you can mark it on your calendar for most babies that they get a little more fussy. And oddly, they go from pooping multiple times a day to maybe once every few days at 6 weeks. You can,
Really?
you can just
Put it on the calendar.
Put it right on the calendar. And we tend to start thinking, oh, there must be a problem, and we start getting more panicky, and that's where learning to swaddle a baby, dim room lights, maybe soft music in the background, a rocking chair, and just slowly, gently rock them, and you will watch them go from that full-on crying to that little jittery where the lip is quivering. That's it.
I still do that.
Some things never
That's
change.
why I have a basset hound, because he always looks sadder than me. Look, she must be ecstatically happy because look at him.
Yeah, there you go. It's a comparison.
And then they'll go back to nice, calm states. And it won't take much in the room to jar them to go back to crying, and then we slowly work on getting them back to a calm state again.
So what do you think that is at that age? Are they becoming more sensitive to their surroundings, or
they freaked out?
They're like, I want out of here. I want to go back.
Weird.
I find the 6-week mark a real mystery.
Oh, interesting.
I know it's coming. I know what to expect. And the root cause of it is just
it's just a developmental stage that is whatever it is,
That's
but
kind
it
of
just
undefined
is
at this point.
That's
as
awesome.
far as I'm concerned. In fact, oddly enough, I see it time and time and time again in my patients, but I never read about it in any books.
That's really interesting.
I was told when mine was really little that at 2 weeks you start, you're kind of panicked because it's your first child, you really don't know what you're doing. But I was told by the hospital and my nurses and everybody, they said by 6 weeks you will be an expert. I wonder if they say that because they know the child is going to go through that developmental stage and things are going to kind of calm
and they're
down.
They're going to be like, just keep it.
Yeah.
You don't want it back.
One of the problems that arises, though, at 6 weeks is parents tend to use food as a pacifier for their child.
Oh, no.
And in the short run it does, but in the long run it's a real big problem for the child.
Right?
They get more colicky, more gassy, more uncomfortable. And that's because we don't allow digestion to work its process. Normally when we eat, food goes into our stomach and it sits in our stomach for about an hour. And then at about that point, it starts to move on through and all the intestine starts to contract and everything starts moving down the pathway. And that seems to be tied to when babies will get a little more fussy or uncomfortable. So that, something within that might be the root cause. And we look and we say, oh, what's wrong with the baby? And we check and the diaper's dry. Oh, they must be hungry. And we pop a bottle in their mouth or we breastfeed them, ideally. And then at that point, food goes right back into the stomach and all that motility stops again. We don't allow digestion to do its thing. They seem content again. And an hour later, that cycle repeats again, but we never allow food to move on through, and we end up overstuffing a baby. And I like to remind.
That's what I did. I think that's what I did.
that makes perfect sense that you would do that because you as a parent are getting positive feedback that well you must have been hungry because now you're happy.
Exactly.
Right. Oh wow.
Right, and I moved in with my mother after my son was born, and he was a big kid. He was 9 pounds. My mom said he's just not getting enough to eat. There's just no way he's getting enough to eat. And I was like,
and
Mom,
so she was
I'm
there
like
telling
the
you
best cow ever. She could feed the whole city. And she's like, he's not getting enough to eat. So that kid was eating cereal at 2 weeks old.
So I like to remind parents that babies are like dads at a buffet. They just don't know when to stop.
That's good. I've never heard that.
Awesome.
That's pretty clever.
So yeah, and I wonder if my son had, and I'm not actually sure if he still does. I haven't heard him talk about it, but he doesn't live with me anymore. But all through high school, of course, living at home, he had, whenever there was something wrong with my son, it was always centered around abdominal issues.
Oh.
It was always like, I have stomach pain. Stress, I have stomach pain. Everything was always abdominal pain. So I wonder if I just ruined him.
Or if it's just genetic and that's the way he is.
I don't know. I don't know.
The I ruined him thing works. Go with that.
We'll go with that. Because my therapist could use the extra money. I think be there for him the rest of my life.
That sounds like a genetic thing. I mean, certain things people just have good or bad digestion and other things happen, right?
But really, if you were to do that with a small child like I did, and I wouldn't say he was like, I wasn't stuffing like pork chops down him, but I was giving him rice cereal at a really young age, very, very watery. He was sucking it off the spoon. Is that setting him up for long-term digestive issues or just more problems until his digestive system?
My feeling, it's unclear, but my gut feeling is that, no pun intended, is that it's more of a short-term issue, and it's trying to work through the first 4 months how to make things a little more comfortable for everyone.
So the child that is crying and food is at that stage, as long as, the mom is a good cow or you are supplementing with formula or whatever, the problem is probably not the food. They're stuck in that crying state, perhaps, and
most of the time. There certainly are possibilities that one needs to look at. But
are there indicators of that?
Well, certainly if a child has blood in the stool or really
fever,
significant diarrhea or fever, there can be sign of infection. There can be sign of lactose intolerance, which just about everyone as a baby, well, most babies have a certain degree of it, but it's depending on the degree of it. So if it's really mild, it's not really an issue. If it's to the point where they're getting blood in their stool and not gaining weight, then you have a real issue there.
So there's a lack of weight gain.
So I have a question, because so many babies are colicky. Does it work the same way? I mean, I understand the swaddling and doing everything you can make that baby happy, but can you get that baby out of that crying state if they're colicky, like you could for a baby who is not colicky?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But it comes down to, again, not overstuffing your baby, not feeling that every hour you need to do something, realizing that it's okay to put a pacifier in their mouth for a while. 1 year of age, I'm going to say, let's get rid of that pacifier because I care about protecting the teeth and the curvature of the jaw. But until then, using something for them to suck on, because babies like to suck. We keep thinking, oh, a baby is rooting where they're turning towards breast, or they're turning towards something and trying to make that sucking noise sound and sucking pattern, and we think, oh, they must be hungry. But that's a reflex. It's called the rooting reflex.
They'll go for their fist, right?
They'll go for anything. They'll suck on whatever.
The dog's paw.
I used to think I could put my daughter on a light switch and she'd just stay there.
That's funny. I saw a picture once coming across Facebook, or the internet, and it was all these strange pictures, and there was a baby mom was holding the baby, and the baby had turned to a bust, a statue, a bronze bust, and it was of the full upper body as opposed to just the head, and the baby was reaching over for the teat on the statue. It was hysterical.
But it's an important reflex because it reminds us that, oh, we need to feed our baby. So it's a helpful reflex, but it's still a reflex and not an indication that the baby is thinking, oh, I can really use something to eat right now.
Well, and before a child can speak, it's good for them to have those, ways somehow to communicate, right?
Absolutely.
Or some reminder. I remember when Dale was crawling and still not talking, and I never, like, worst mom ever, okay? So I was really young when I had him, and I don't eat on a schedule, so I didn't think it was important to put my son on an eating schedule. If he cried, I fed him. And so when he got a little older, he would crawl over to the refrigerator, pull himself up on it, and bang on it. He was smart. He knew where the food was.
Survival skills.
Survival skills. And now he comes to my place and he opens the fridge and he goes, Mom, you have jam and bread in your refrigerator. In your whole refrigerator, you have jam and bread. It's like, do I look like I'm hungry? I'm not hungry.
I'm good. I don't need anything besides that.
Basic food groups. So, Dr. Carey, have we left anything out? I want to wrap things up, but I also don't want to leave anything important out here. Something to pass on to parents?
One of the big items to remember, especially for first-time parents, is not to rush development. I think it's really important to stand back and enjoy your baby for that 2-month, 4-month, 6-month, 9-month stage, and don't say, oh, when is my child going to roll over?
College.
When are they going to sit up? When are they going to walk? Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we keep looking forward to what's coming, and the stages that they're at really move by really fast. And,
enjoy it.
And
enjoy it.
They're fun. 4 to 9 months.
I think that's
wonderful.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Because I remember trying to prop my son up to get him to sit, and he'd fall over, and I'd prop him up, and he'd fall over. And I don't know why I did that. I don't know why.
I had a friend that did that with the walking, always trying to get her to walk. I'm like, are you kidding? When my son tries to walk, I push him down. I don't want him walking. I have to chase him if he walks.
Once they're walking, you are
like, you don't get to walk yet.
Shoes on, right? Once they're walking. Dr. Carey, I'm so glad that you were able to come all the way into the station today. I know it's a bit of a haul for you.
It's wonderful. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
And don't forget that Dr. Carey is answering questions on his Facebook page. So go to Facebook and Google or search Dr. Carey Baby Care. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And you'll find him. Today is Monday, or not Mondays. Today's not Monday, but on Mondays you have a question of the week.
Monday we have a question of the week and a lot of interaction. Fridays we have pictures, and I try to get articles on there occasionally.
Wonderful.
Sounds like a great site. I mean, great way to communicate.
And then I really recommend the book. I really wish that this had come with my son when he was born.
It's like the instruction manual you were asking for. It's right there.
It is an instruction manual, but there are instruction manuals out there. I think what is really helpful, and Dr. Carey, you mentioned this, are all the pictures of all the goopy, yucky, great stuff that happens in your child's first year. And it's those goopy things that you're like...
That freak us out.
Yeah,
right.
So all that stuff is here, so you don't have to go to WebMD and scare the heck out of yourself and think your child has cancer because it's cradle cap or something.
Right.
Okay, so check out Dr. Carey. He is the author of Dr. Carey's Baby Care and the developer of the Dr. Carey Baby Kit. Thanks again, Dr. Carey.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. This is AM 1220 KHTS.
No matter where you live, life in the ocean depends on you. Do your part to help protect it. Recycle and dispose of your trash properly. To learn what you can do, go to keepoceansclean.org.
You don't have to look at it. People a little bit more creative. I'm going to say nothing.
Left-handed people are smart.
They are. Mom, I have a... I have a... Dad, do you want to get the phone?
No.
Every year, 1 million families face losing their homes to foreclosure. If you're ignoring your mortgage issues, things will only get worse. Call 1-888-995-HOPE, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Hey. Where have you been? I lost my cat. Oh, that's not right. Yeah, so I made this cat magnet to try and get him back. Cool. Does it work? Kinda. Ow! Nice. Yeah, but that's not my cat. Gotta keep working on it. See ya. See ya.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
Welcome back to Alive and Well Radio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Karena Thek. We're going to wrap up the show with my co-host, Crystal Lacey Edwards. Hey, Miss.
Hey, that was a great show.
It was great.
Glad
And Dr. Carey's still hanging out with us here, so it was great information. And honestly, I was so sick when I was pregnant. I mean, the sciatic pain, the nausea for 9 months, I was so sick. And I know that, gosh, at least 80% of that had to have been just pure fear. You know, just
maybe.
pure fear. People would say, are you having a boy or a girl? I'd say, I'm hoping for puppies. Because I know what to do with puppies.
Yeah, I was 8 months pregnant. I saw a friend of mine hadn't seen it. She's like, oh my gosh, you were pregnant last time I saw you. You didn't even know if you wanted kids. And I said, oh, I still don't. And she just went, what? I mean, it freaked her out.
Just so scary.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, it was just so scary. I mean, I was so terrified and so young that I thought, well, if anything's wrong, he's going to be better off with a family that A, has health insurance, and B, has a little more maturity. And I was just terrified.
You were wise enough to think that. That tells me a lot.
I thought for sure that if there's something wrong with this child, then he'll be better off with another family. I'm going to have to let him go. So he's born, and he pops out, and his whole right side is numb and dangling to the floor.
Oh,
and you know how they cry and their whole body goes, shakes, and the whole right side is totally numb. And
you're thinking, I got to give him up for adoption.
No. What I'm thinking immediately, this is what was so amazing to me, is that I define this as a split second, because the second he popped out, or that half a second, and you see that numb side, I'm thinking, I'll take better care of him than anybody.
Awesome.
Right? It was like, and that's a split
the way a
second.
mom's supposed to think.
And
that's
it was that
awesome.
fast. I was shocked. And it turned out that he was sleeping on his right side, and his whole right side was asleep.
Right. There's good reason for this. It's kind of like the colic. The crying baby is just a crying baby. Same idea.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
we have to go to NBC. They're going to play the news for you. I hope it's not too depressing. Hopefully we'll have some good news for you today.
Yeah, we talked about babies today. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all been good. Thanks again to Dr. Carey. You can check him out at drcarey.org. And I'm Karena Thek. This has been Crystal Lacey Edwards on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.